Catta versus Zoom, take 2. So you might have seen my video about the DZO Vespid Prime, the 40mm. I actually really like that lens and use it on a lot of projects. Well, now they have some full frame zooms that they've made. You want to compare it up against another zoom lens and see if they're any good? Yeah, sure. So that's what we're gonna do. So there's a lot I like about these two lenses, but there's one thing about each of them that I really don't like. We'll get to that later. Price-wise, they're pretty comparable. The DZOs can be had as a pair for around $6 or so before tax, and the Rangers can be had for about $5,800 a pair. They both come with EF and PL mounts. We are gonna compare them head to head and see which one ends up being our favorite.
Let the combat begin! To the death!
So as always, we're gonna do a scientific test and we're gonna compare them without bias, like how they stack up against each other with like flares and with their close focus, breathing, and overall look and feel and their build quality. If you wanna see the full test, I've got it in my Vimeo. Check it out in the description there, full quality. You can see every little detail, but there'll be a really chopped up version right here. And go. always, a scientific test doesn't give you the whole story, right? You want to see how it's used in action, because tests are just tests. So check out this little example video that I filmed with a director, this interesting little project, shot on the DZOs. Okay, first thing we're gonna look at is the flares. This is one area where the Rangers do have a little bit of a leg up over the DZOs, is they have this nice little bloominess to the flares. It has this very beautiful little, it just has a nice little shape to it. It has a little bit more of a random texture, whereas the DZOs have that classic, the really like rigid kind of starring, especially when you stop down. It's really apparent when you stop down. Maybe you like that look, but I'm personally more drawn to the more kind of softer look of the Rangers. However, on the tighter end of the Rangers, they have these, and it only happens when you go past 100 millimeters to like 135 in the 180 range on the Rangers. You get these very weird circular, like bendy, weird. It's disgusting. I hate those flares. Absolutely like atrocious looking flares. So that's a knock on the Rangers there. I just wish that the character that you got out of the wide angle ones and the wider end of the tighter ones carried through the whole zoom range. So yeah, not liking the inconsistency with the flares there. Overall, the DZO's flares it's got this, it's more consistent, but it's a little more on like kind of it looks a little more digital, I would say. When it comes to close focus and breathing, I would say this is also another instance where the Rangers actually do have another leg up on the DZOs. Quick interruption here. I realized I made a mistake. What I said here about the DZOs or the Rangers outperforming the DZOs on close focus, it's actually only true with the wide angle. The tighter versions of the DZOs actually do outperform the Rangers. You're gonna see here in the tests, but just a note that what I'm about to say is actually not true. Okay, back to the video. They have better close focus, as you can see here. Overall, consistently on both sets, we moved our patch much closer to the camera to get better close focus. And I wouldn't even say that breathing wise, the DZOs are particularly bad. They're actually quite nice. Like the Vespids didn't breathe hardly at all, but these ones do breathe very, very, very minimally. The Rangers didn't breathe like hardly at all. That's a huge plus for the Rangers on that front. This is a shorter one, but when it comes to zoom range, no pun intended, the Rangers have more range. They can go wider, all the way to 28, as opposed to just 35 on the wide end of the Cattas. And they go way tighter to 180 as opposed to just to 135. But now we get to a really interesting part of the test where we're looking at not some of the features of the characteristics, but we're looking at the overall quality and the build and the consistency of these lenses, which when you use them in a professional setting matters, I would say, way more than some of the other things we looked at. Overall, I would say that the Catta zooms themselves have a much higher quality, much better built feel. The gears themselves have a much smoother range. I've just noticed this over the across the board with all DZO lenses. The focus gears and the iris gears turn so easily, much more like what you would expect on a higher end cinema lens. The Rangers just feel unnecessarily like sticky and like hard to turn, and that's very characteristic of a much cheaper lens. I will say one thing: the Rangers do come with a metal front cap, which you can hear here, as opposed to the plastic cap on the DZOs. Small thing, it's worth noting though. When you pay this kind of money for lenses, normally you would want both your zooms or all of your prime sets to be consistent in terms of exposure, right? You want T4 or T2.9 on one lens to be the exact same on the other lens. Fortunately for DZO, their quality control is really apparent here. Like they make sure that the optics of one lens match up with the optics of the other one in terms of their T-stops are actually accurate. This is unfortunately not the case with the Rangers. T2.9 on one lens on the wider lens is darker than on the tighter lens. So you don't know if T4 on one lens is going to be exactly T4 on the other lens. And this is fine for run and gun, I guess, if you're not having to try to like match shots. But if you're trying to make a movie or you're trying to like work with a crew here, this is a huge problem. And I would not be comfortable using this on a proper film set. Another thing which you might not be able to see from here is there's individual third stop markings on the Catta zooms, so you can be really precise through the exposure. It's non-existent on the Ranger zooms, so you're only looking at full stops here, so you can't be as consistent when trying to match exposure between shots. It's just harder with this one because you don't have the markings. And now let's move on to the final part, which is just the overall look and feel. This might be like a preference thing, but the Rangers sort of have a bit of a colder, sort of higher contrast, sharper look. This is more characteristic of like modern Zeiss lenses or like Sigmas if you're kind of used to that look. They just have a very modern look. The DZOs, on the other hand, very much remind me of like Cooks or sort of vintage Zeiss lens. They have more of a warmer, a bit of a yellower look to it. They have a softer and lower contrast overall. So not only are you getting more dynamic range with it, but you're getting an overall more pleasing look out of the lens. So I would feel, if I was just based on the look and feel of these lenses, I think I'd probably have to go with the DZO Cattas, because they just overall have a better look and feel to them, regardless of their performance in close focus or their range. They just look nicer. And when you want to pick lenses for your film, you want to pick the ones that look the nicest. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hope that if you were kind of between these two lenses or trying to decide between them, or if you just wanted to watch an entertaining video, if this was helpful for you to decide which lens was worth your money, or if you just like wanted to watch me blabber and got some entertainment out of this. Anyways, catch you in the next one. Peace. Wait, no, I can't say that. That's Marquez's thing. That's a cut. That's a wrap. So both these lenses are actually priced pretty they're Confederately priced.
Super racist lens.
So racist. I gotta remember to look there, not there, right there. Yeah, I'll do one more just in case that's a little too, I don't know, passive aggressive.